Hi, it's State Representative Jim Walsh here in my office for our regular legislative updates. Weather's been a little rainy, a little icy in places, so we're not outside, we're inside. Certainly at the top of the news cycle right now here in Olympia are 2 of the 6 initiatives that were filed have been officially certified by the Washington Secretary of State. They are now effectively bills at the Capitol in Olympia. The 2 that have been officially certified are Initiative 2113, which restores law enforcement's pursuit of criminals and criminal suspects. We call it restoring reasonable police pursuit. As you know, a few years ago, there were a sort of wave of law enforcement reform bills passed through Olympia that in various ways defunded the police or restricted their ability to enforce the law. Sort of chief among those, in terms of the havoc it's caused, were these restrictions on law enforcement officers in Washington chasing criminals and criminal suspects. They can't do it. The cops and sheriff's deputies can't chase effectively. So what Initiative 2113 does is it restores the traditional standard for police pursuits from a new, complicated system back to the long-standing reasonable suspicion standard as the basis for police chases. This is a good thing that will make fighting crime more effective. It'll lower crime rates in the state, and it'll make communities and neighborhoods safer. We've seen crime rates around Washington rise, property crime rates, violent crime rates. We want to see those crime rates level out and start dropping down again. And passing Initiative 2113 will do that. I'm hoping my colleagues here in Olympia will pass 2113 into law. If they do that, it becomes law without the governor's signature and not subject to a governor's veto, because it started out as an initiative from the people to the legislature. Good thing. If the legislature doesn't pass it into law, 2113 goes to the people on the ballot in the general election in November of 2024, this year, this November, for a vote. And if the people support it, it becomes law. So it's a good policy. It'll improve quality of life here in Washington either way. The other initiative that's been certified is Initiative 2117. This will repeal the cap and trade tax scheme that the governor really pushed through the legislature also a couple of years ago. This cap and trade tax scheme, also called the Climate Commitment Act, has been a disaster. It's driven gas and diesel prices up to near highest in the nation. By current estimates, about 60 cents per gallon of gas is in this new tax, this Climate Commitment Act tax. And it's still going up. That amount will be higher as we go into 2024. And despite its promises, the Climate Commitment Act actually hasn't reduced pollution. It hasn't reduced carbon outputs. All it's done is made everything more expensive. So it's a failure as public policy. And Initiative 2117 acknowledges that failure, repeals the failed policy, and allows us, if we want to have a conversation about lowering carbon outputs, actually lowering pollution, to talk about policy that will really do that. Both Initiative 2113 and 2117 are currently in front of the legislature. I and some of my colleagues are trying to convince our other colleagues to give these initiatives a hearing at a committee and then a vote on the floor of the legislature and get them passed into law. We're finding a little resistance to that from some of our colleagues, but we are continuing to press for this and will for the remainder of the current legislative session. But as I said, if the legislature doesn't take action on these initiatives, they do go to you, the people, for a vote this November. And before I go, I want to end by saying I am having, with my colleagues, Senator Jeff Wilson and Representative Joel McIntyre, a town hall in about a week's time, right at the end of this month, January 31st. And I invite you to go to my webpage or social media accounts for the details on it. But it's 6 p.m. on January 31st. And Senator Wilson and Representative McIntyre and I will be hosting, and we'll be taking questions and talking to people about these initiatives, about other bills coming through Olympia, about the budgets, which we are negotiating supplemental packages on, and everything else that's going on here in Olympia in this ledge session. That's it for now. Look forward to talking with you again soon. Be well and stay strong.